Okay. Oh, it looks like it's recording. It's always exciting to click on the button and have it do its thing. Okay, away we go. Is that showing up as it should? Right on. Yes, I'll take that as a yes. Okay, away we go. We are going to begin with a land acknowledgement. As always, we wish to acknowledge that we are blessed to live and work alongside tremendous educators, engage with wonderful families and their children on Treaty 4 territory, traditional lands of the Nehiyawak, Nakaway, Nakota, and homeland of the Métis, Lakota, and Dakota nations. Please join us in a Hail Mary. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. So, Mrs. Warnicki and myself have really enjoyed visits to all of the ELA classrooms from grades 9 through 11. And this is pretty much a copy of that presentation. So you're going to hear exactly what your child heard regarding our recommendations for course selection and things to consider in that regard. So the first kinds of considerations that we pose to students and families when they're selecting courses are the following. First and foremost, we are directed by graduation eligibility. So a certain formula of classes is required to attain graduation requirements in the province of Saskatchewan. And as we go here, Mrs. Warnicki is also going to place some helpful links in the chat as we reference some of the resources in this presentation. So students at Riffel are well versed in the graduation checklist. We have copies of it in Student Services. It can be found on the course selection tab of the Student Services website on the Riffel main page. And we'll take a look at it in a moment. That grad checklist really provides the pathway, the certain formula of classes required for graduation in Saskatchewan. So that's our first consideration in selecting courses, is adhering to those classes. Second, we want to really mine and look at and have students consider their interests and skills, what they like to do, what they would like to learn about. Those are very important considerations in choosing classes. And third, possible career goals. Ensuring that course choices are tailored to future possible post-secondary pathways, future career pathways, things of that nature. So you'll see me wave around occasionally to keep the lights on. Also, in investigating those career goals, we access a province-wide resource called myblueprint.ca. In our presentations, we linked all students up to that wonderful resource. It's really a one-stop shop for students reflecting on their personal interests, their learning styles, things like that, completing fun quizzes within My Blueprint that eventually lead to a large list of possible careers for that student based on their responses to those quizzes. So we really encourage students to check out My Blueprint, do those quizzes, and then see that wonderful list of possible jobs. And those jobs are then clickable as far as learning more about the job, what the job would entail, and also what course requirements are needed in the province of Saskatchewan to access those post-secondary programs. So we can't say enough about My Blueprint, and we encourage all students to kind of check that out as they're investigating possible career goals. So as mentioned, the personal graduation checklist really drives student course choices. And in order to participate in graduation mass and exercises, all Regina Catholic high school students must have the potential to earn those 24 particular credits. A real flagship course for Regina Catholic schools is the sequencing of Catholic studies in grades 9 through 12. So figuring Catholic studies courses into that 24 credits is part of Regina Catholic School Division education. The compulsory requirements, namely those 24, including Catholic studies, must be in students' course schedule in order to meet those requirements by June 30th of the graduation year. As mentioned, here is a shot of the personal graduation checklist. We're going to reference this document. It is part of the yellow workbook package that Mrs. Warnicki and myself used as the major resource planning tool for course selection. You may have seen your child bring this home. You may have gone through it with them. So this particular checklist is on the back page, and students can go through that checklist and check off how far they've come in terms of credits. And just note that we begin counting credits in grade 10. So those grade 9 classes really are the gateway to those beginning counting credits classes in grade 10. So students in grades 10 and 11 can begin kind of checking off how far they've come in terms of achieving grad requirements. And it's also a kind of a nice way to drop in what classes you plan to take next year to just kind of further drive down the road of graduation requirements. So that is on the back page of the yellow workbook, the course planning workbook. And that workbook is also has kind of a smaller version of some of the key ideas in this presentation. Also within it is the list of all the courses that are offered at Riffel, and they're laid out in that workbook exactly how they're going to appear tomorrow morning when course selection officially opens. So we thought it was kind of a helpful tool to provide kind of that overlay of familiar appearance of those courses that in the manner that you're going to kind of check them off tomorrow, and for the week course selection is open from Wednesday to Wednesday. So that is the grad checklist, and your child will have a copy of that in the yellow workbook. For those families that have joined us whose children are in grade 9 presently, you'll see a screenshot here of the courses that students must include in their grade 10 course selections. We did the yellow workbooks by grade, so those students who are in grade 9 presently would also have a copy of this exact slide within that yellow workbook. And the courses there that are required, you'll see both Englishes at the grade 10 level, and there's an option for advanced English also, you'll see in the list of classes within that yellow workbook. Students heading into grade 10 must also take a 10 level math, and you'll see the 2 options listed there. They must also take Native Studies 10 or History 10. Those are equivalent credits to cover off the social science requirement at grade 10. Catholic Studies 10 is a requirement, as is Science 10, and then Wellness 10. To round out the 10 classes at the grade 10 level, all students heading into grade 10 require a full schedule to get them kind of a big jump towards those 24 credits that are eventually required. They can get 10 credits under their belt, plus early bird or lunch courses like choral or vocal jazz or band can be extras, as well as arts ed 10. But at any rate, the 8th, 9th, and 10th credits in that grade 10 course selection list, those students they can feel free to pull from those elective classes that pique their interest, and there's a number of them listed in that yellow workbook. There's also, we will provide a link to the Program of Studies booklet that houses every single one of the courses that is offered here at Riffel, along with the math pathway chart and so on, and science pathway chart that we'll get to in a moment as well. Students can also weave in those elective spots a second math, so the 20 level math that is on their pathway, their math pathway. They can also weave in a 20 level or grade 11 science as an elective. And then we would simply put the grade 10 science or math in semester 1, and then that 20 level in semester 2. We would manage kind of those sequencing pieces when we get down to looking at schedules. So we invite students to access their interests in grade 10 with those electives. We have a really wide variety of elective courses here at Riffel, and your child may have spoken to you this evening about the course selection fair that we had in our Commons area, organized by Mrs. Warnicki. We had a number of teachers who teach those elective classes who had tables in the Commons, and students were able to ask questions of those teachers and kind of get a feel for what some of those kind of unique elective classes were all about. So that we have that on today at lunch. Moving on to grade 11, for those students who are presently in grade 10, these are the course selection requirements for students heading into grade 11. This is kind of the formula of classes needed. First is ELA 20. And if students are looking at the advanced pathway, we ask them to couple that ELA 20 advanced with creative writing, just to get a firmer foundation and practice in writing, expressive writing. The second requirement is a 20 level math. So again, we'll chat a little bit about math pathways in a moment, but a student in grade 11 would make sure to choose that 20 level math depending upon their pathway. And third requirement is a social science, and any of those 4 options listed are fantastic. You'll note that there are some 30 levels there, and just a note that there are no prerequisites for those 30 levels. So a grade 11 student could in fact choose Law 30, and it's kind of a standalone course. Law 20 or 10 is not required. So any of those 4 options, again, depending upon interest, depending upon conversations with teachers and finding out about more about those classes, and also career pathways can kind of help you choose among those 4 possibilities. Number 4 requirement is Catholic Studies 20. Number 5 requirement is a 20 level science, and our recommendation, just based upon some of the math pieces that students may have to have a bit more of a foundation in, we ask students to kind of hold off on that physical science 20 until grade 11 or grade 12 even, depending upon kind of the sequence of your class needs. But really good 20 level sciences to kind of start out in the 20 level science arena would be environmental science, health science, computer science 20. Those would be great options for that initial 20 level science. And then you'll see 5 elective options. So there, as I mentioned, there's just a wide array of elective options. Students also sometimes put any math pursuits or any science pursuits into these elective spots to round out their schedule. And again, it's your career pathways and interests that are kind of driving those elective choices. And again, linking up with my blueprint to check out those career options, seeing what the course requirements are for those career options, conversations with student services, Mrs. Warnicki or myself, to see what your needs are for the possibilities for post-secondary that you have in mind. We can kind of round out your course choices and hit on some of those maths or sciences, or any of the other wonderful electives that are offered here. For those students presently in grade 11, here are the course selection requirements for your grade 12 year, beginning with English A30 and English B30. Third is the equivalent Canadian Studies credits, either Native Studies 30 or Social Studies 30. And Catholic Studies 30 is the fourth requirement. And then the remaining electives there to fill the schedule can be met through either unmet grad requirements, so courses on previous slides that maybe weren't met yet for whatever reason. Any course of interest, again, in those, in terms of elective classes. Again, those 30 level maths and sciences students are maybe attending to now and covering off for whatever post-secondary needs they may have. So that would round out course selections for all three grades.
Kiana?
Lisa, you're muted.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm back. The program of studies, just a visual as to where it's located, is on the main page and under About Us, and the drop down there has Program of Studies, and there you will see that PDF link, Program of Studies grade 10 to 12, and you can click on there, and it's just a fantastic booklet, several pages long, that has each class that we offer, not only a list of the classes, it has math pathways information, science pathways, all kinds of pathways, but it also has a little descriptor of each course as well. So just like a small kind of info piece so that you can find out a little bit more about what you would learn in that particular class. So that is also a great tool and resource for you to look at when choosing electives. Okay, so the number of courses required at each grade level, our company line here is a full schedule is the best schedule, and we truly believe that. For students to be well-rounded and to access interests and take all opportunities available to them here, engaging with different teaching styles, learning different content, we really feel that 10 classes at grade 10, 11, and 12 is the best route to go, ensuring that all kinds of doors are open and that students can leave here well prepared for any post-secondary pursuit. We really encourage students to fill schedules grades 10, 11, and 12. At the grade 10 level, as mentioned, 10 courses are required. Grade 11, families can decide if a study hour or two may assist the student in managing course load. Grade 12, students can also access study periods if families wish to, but just ensuring that we're adhering to all of those graduation eligibility, post-secondary plans, and personal interests. Just endeavoring to fill that schedule each year with a variety of courses we feel is really the best route. A few helpful pieces, with the exception of science and math, we ask as students choose classes at their grade level in each of grades 10, 11, and 12. As mentioned, students can take a next year level science or math at each of their grade levels, but other compulsory subjects, for example, Catholic Studies or ELA, we reserve those for like that particular grade level to take in their grade-specific year. As long as students meet the prereq requirements, students can take elective courses from one grade level above. It doesn't happen often, but again, each situation is unique, and we sometimes field questions about that particular scenario. And if you have questions in that regard as you're choosing classes, please reach out to us. I know our contact information has been widely shared, and we will share that again this evening. Pre-AP and AP courses are challenging, and what AP stands for is Advanced Placement. And we'll chat a little bit about the advanced placement courses that we offer here at Riffel. We just ask students to be really cognizant of school life balance if they take on classes that are going to require maybe more independent work, some extra homework, things like that. We certainly don't want to create an imbalance in students' lives and overwhelm students. Conversations within the family with current subject-specific teachers, conversation with student services. These are good avenues of consultation for families to make before choosing an AP or pre-AP pathway. And last but not least, I can't say it enough, constantly evaluating your post-secondary plans. So those confirmed plans or those maybe plans that a student has percolating, just having a conversation with student services after some research on My Blueprint, just to ensure that students are on those pathways that are going to kind of achieve what they're setting out to cover off post-secondary plans. This is very important to start doing, and kind of increasing your focus on that point as your years in high school progress. Post-secondary institutions and programs vary in admission requirements, and we kind of always come back to that point with students, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of a way that you can have that conversation with your child about either eliminating post-secondary plans that you're for sure not interested in, and just focusing on the maybes or the kind of closer to confirmed options, and again, making sure that you're covering off those classes that are needed. And again, just My Blueprint really comes to mind in this conversation. So try and link that up with that resource with your child and check it out and see what some of the avenues of exploration might be in My Blueprint. So I've mentioned it a few times, the term maybes kind of came up in our classroom presentations. So students may not have a post-secondary plan, and that's okay. They're probably thinking about different options. They're probably ruling out different options. And so we kind of posed it to students in our presentations, what is in your maybe list? Maybe you have 3 career considerations, maybe you have 5 of them, maybe you have 2. Maybe you're really firmed up in your option, maybe. But putting those maybes physically down on a piece of paper and then doing some investigation as to what 30-level classes the student may need to cover off all of those maybes. It sounds daunting, but it's really a good exercise to do. And then planning your course choices around those maybes, and hopefully those maybes, this is the real strong piece. We also talk about student interest, right? Hopefully those career maybes are connecting to students' natural interests in terms of subjects that they're studying here. So using those maybes or firmed up post-secondary choices and interests as those guiding tools in choosing your grade 11 and 12 classes. And student services can be a great kind of sounding board and assistant kind of walking down those paths with students in terms of exploring maybes and sitting down and looking at course requirements together. This is part of our role at Riffel, Mrs. Warnicki and myself, is to kind of help students investigate some of those course needs and so on. So we accept drop-ins, students just kind of walking through our doors with questions. Students can make appointments, families can email us or call, and we can be a source of information as well and provide some guidance in that area. This is mainly for those students moving from grade 11 to grade 12. Just a helpful note that Sask Polytechnic applications actually open on September 1st of your grade 12 year. That is not to ramp up any sort of anxiety about needing to put an application in. It's more, or that the clock starts ticking in any way at that point, but it's more just a neat thing to know that you're embarking upon that time, and just something, a helpful piece of information to keep in mind that you can begin applying to Sask Poly programs right when you start your grade 12 year. You can also do that with the University of Regina and University of Saskatchewan and a number of other institutions across Canada and the US. There are some reduced application fee time periods that happen in October and December and January/February that we would maybe direct students to apply during those times to the U of R, because you can save a little bit of money on your application. So current grade 11 students, a year from pretty much today would be the admissions deadline for the U of R. We kind of have a soft planning deadline for students in grade 12 to really try and have some kind of post-secondary plan in place and hopefully an application submitted in and around December. Some students apply before then, some students apply after then, and that's totally fine. But it's sometimes good to just kind of have that December planning period that things come into focus and maybe an application is put in somewhere if post-secondary is something that you're interested in. We discussed my blueprint. Again, just a little visual as to where you can find that information and the access key that you would need for that. On our main page, on Student Services at the top tab, there's a drop-down menu that has my blueprint located there, and you can check that out and engage with that resource. So let's talk a little bit about math pathways. We'll kind of break down into subject areas now for a little bit of a deeper look at certain subject areas and where students can go with those math pathways. There are 3 different pathways in math: workplace and apprenticeship, foundations of math, and pre-calculus math. And it's a decision that students will need to look at making for the grade 10 year. And so how do students choose the pathway for them? We think about post-secondary considerations, but those may not be formulated yet. There may not be even maybes at this point. That's okay. A really good person to consult if you have questions about math pathways or where you might be suited for, or kind of how your learning style connects with one of the pathways best, is to chat with your current math teacher or grade 9 math teacher, or any math teacher that you've had in the past few years can certainly give you a little bit of feedback on your learning style, and give you a little bit of direction information. So another kind of way that we look at math pathways is moving into that grade 10 year, and maybe I'll just go to the pathways slide. So if we take a look at grade 9 math, we see that it opens those 2 pathways doors, and you might have noticed there's a 3rd pathway. That foundations pathway branches off at the 20 level there into pre-calculus, so that's where that 3rd pathway is. But there are a few options for students in terms of configuring or choosing math pathways in grade 10, and that's we've kind of focused in on that grade 10 years. It's kind of the one that we have to find where we fit best and make those selections in that grade 10 year. So we ask students to kind of consider who they are as math learners and who they have been as math learners, and consider it in the way that maybe you can think about if you are a hands-on math learner, if it's really vital to you to see what you're learning lived out in your day-to-day life. And I'm sure that's important for anyone, don't get me wrong. But workplace and apprenticeship math is designed for the hands-on or the real world kind of math learner. So breaking down things like pay stubs and receipts and discussing how income tax works and actually building physical items like small items like birdhouses and things like that based upon math calculations, and it's a really hands-on approach and a real world pieces. It's like you lived out math sort of thing. It is not that foundations pre-calculus math is not that way in some respects, but it's going to move really into that abstract realm. And it's not that one is better than the other, and we really don't want to frame it in those terms at all. It's really about who you are as a learner. And again, chatting with your math teachers, reflecting on your learning style, and thinking back on your grade 9 math year, your grade 10 math year, and really kind of rolling it around in your mind as to how you might access math learning the best. That's really the approach that we need to take as far as selecting a pathway. Now, a word on grade 10 math selections. There are a few different ways that students can choose math in grade 10. And one of them is, if you consult widely, reflect personally, and you're still not sure about which pathway is for you, we would recommend that you select both Workplace and Apprenticeship Math 10 and Foundations Pre-Calculus Math 10. Both pathways are open to you then. You can proceed down either pathway as you continue through to grade 11. Students must have that 10 level in the pathway they want to progress down. I hope that makes sense. But a student who chooses Foundations Pre-Calculus Math 10 and then heads into Foundations Math 20 and realizes that this is not the way I really want to learn math, will need to head back to that Workplace and Apprenticeship Math 10 and start at the beginning of that pathway before progressing. So we're not able to move back and forth between pathways without first achieving the 10 level, 20 level, and so on. So I just want to restate that. If you're unsure about math pathways, grade 10, you have lots of space in your schedule in terms of putting that second math into that one of those elective spots that we talked about in that previous frame. So selecting both pathway maths, great idea. If you know you're more leaning towards Workplace and Apprenticeship Math, that's the math you would select. You can simply select that one and you're good to go. If you know that you're more Foundations Pre-Calculus, that's the way you access math, you can simply select just that one. There is another option to select the Foundations Pre-Calculus Math 10 and Foundations 20 in that grade 10 year. That Foundations Math 20 would slide into one of the elective spots in your course selections. So we want to stress one pathway is not superior to another, and one math selection or pairing of selections is not superior to another. It really comes down to who you are as a math learner. Consult with your teacher, reflect personally. And a third piece is chatting with student services, perhaps about post-secondary possibilities or those maybes that we talked about. So that might be all I am going to say on kind of the grade 10 math selections. I feel like grade 11 students maybe have committed to their math pathway. Some grade 11 students end up choosing both Workplace and Apprenticeship Math 20 and Foundations Math 20, which is totally fine. Again, some students may not be committed to a pathway in the grade 11 year. And this math pathways chart is included again in that yellow work booklet. You'll be able to find this pathway visual and make your course choices that way. You'll notice that there are advanced options listed there in the Foundations Pre-Calculus Math pathway, and we'll look at a slide a little later on if you're planning on heading into the advanced pathway, what classes you need to choose at each grade level to eventually get to that AP Calculus opportunity. Our math department here at Riffel put together a slide that connects more to marks kind of in a concrete way. So this is just another tool to consider when looking at math pathways. Current grade 9 students should maybe take a look at their mark in Math 9, and if that mark is in and around the 60% area, it may suggest that that hands-on sort of real world, kind of seeing math play out in your real world pathway might be the path that you end up choosing, that Workplace and Apprenticeship Math. Again, a conversation with your teacher is wonderful in helping make that decision. If you plan to head all the way to Calculus 30, in that previous slide, it was kind of the last stop on that Foundations Pre-Calculus Math pathway. You should be choosing Foundations Pre-Calculus Math 10 and Foundations 20, just in order to fit in all of those math classes that you will eventually need to take to end at Calculus 30. As mentioned, you can always choose both of the pathway maths at the grade 10 level to kick open both of those pathways for you if you're unsure. That is a great decision. And as the flow chart kind of indicates, we ask that students reserve or keep Pre-Calculus 20 on the back burner for grade 11 course choices, and to instead choose that Foundations 20 to go with Foundations Pre-Calculus Math 10. And that Foundations 20 will provide a really solid kind of fundamental math knowledge base for students to proceed into that Pre-Calculus Math 20 pathway. That is a department recommendation at Riffel. And lastly, as mentioned, just consulting with your current math teacher or previous math teachers to help you pick pathways. Let's talk a little bit about science pathways. So you'll note that Science 9 on the chart opens the door to Science 10. And Science 10 opens the door to all of the 20 level sciences. Health science and environmental science, either of those opens the door to Biology 30. So study of the human body, science is health science, and then ecosystems and planet Earth, things of that nature would be environmental science. So again, one is not better than the other. It just depends upon students' interest level and what they would like to focus that kind of introductory biology course, what area they would like to focus that on in terms of that prerequisite. Moving down, physical science 20 opens the door to both chemistry and physics 30. You don't have to take both chemistry and physics. You can take one or the other or both, depending again upon your interests and post-secondary plans. And then to the bottom is computer science 20, which follows, students can kind of head into an AP prep pathway or end with computer science 30. So students wishing to keep all of the natural science options open at the 30 level, we would encourage them to choose, as mentioned, that environmental or health science 20 as an elective class in their grade 10 course choices. And of course, Science 10, every student needs. Again, we'll sequence those classes so that Science 10 falls in semester 1 and that 20 level falls in semester 2. And then you can just kind of see kind of the optional pathway towards achieving all of those natural sciences. Not all students achieve all the natural sciences. Again, it will come back to kind of those golden rules. Interest level and post-secondary needs kind of direct those course choices eventually. We'll discuss a few additional opportunities that we're lucky to provide to students here at Riffel in this order, and let us begin with advanced placement programming. Riffel offers 5 AP opportunities. One of them is in conjunction with Regina Catholic Schools Learning Online, namely computer science. What advanced placement is, it's an international program whereby students build their AP learning in possibly grades 9 all the way through 12, although students can elect to come into the advanced pathway in grade 10 or even grade 11. But you're working towards challenging an international exam that is essentially a university level exam, where if students score a certain level on the exam, they will also achieve kind of a dual achievement of that first year university class in that subject area. So they wouldn't have to, in fact, take a calculus, first year calculus course at a university if they achieve a certain level on that AP exam. And they're also earning a high school credit simultaneously. So AP courses, or those advanced courses, grades 9 through 11, we just, again, ask students to really consider school life balance in choosing those advanced pathways, ensuring that they have the time and energy to commit to classes that will undoubtedly involve more independent kinds of work, and perhaps more homework and things of that nature, maybe extra reading or extra math enrichment kinds of opportunities. So just making sure that they have the time and energy to give over to that kind of rigor in their school commitments. And yeah, it's an exciting opportunity for students. It's a welcoming opportunity. We want all students to at least consider it and see, again, consult with family and student services and teachers just to see what those opportunities entail, and if they seem to be the fit that you're looking for your high school programming. So just a moment we'll spend on this slide. If students are on that advanced math pathway, culminating in that calculus AP exam pursuit, these would be the course choices that you would select depending upon your grade level. For those viewing, grade 10s would select that pairing of classes at the top in their course selections when course selection opens tomorrow. Grade 11, for grade 11 students in the fall, those pre-calculus 20 advanced and pre-calculus 30 advanced would be the pairing that you would choose. And then the grade 12 options are listed there. And that would be the AP calculus pathway course choices at each grade level. AP English, we also offer, so if students are interested in taking part in those advanced courses, these are the pairings that you would select depending upon the grade that you're going into. And AP Psychology, this would be the pairing of classes that you would need to access that opportunity. We highly recommend students take this opportunity in their grade 11 year. Oftentimes, students are entertaining additional AP opportunities in their grade 12 year. So we found that moving the psychology AP opportunity into grade 11 kind of clears a little bit of time and energy for those students who are pursuing other AP options in grade 12. AP Computer Science, you would be taking, of course, Science 10 at the grade 10 level and Building in Computer Science 20, and then Computer Science 30, and a course that's called Robotics and Automation 30 AP Prep. That course earns you the Robotics and Automation 30 credit, as well as prepares you for that Computer Science AP exam in May. So that's how you would select your classes if you're interested in the AP Computer Science pathway. AP Studio Art. These would be the pairs of classes that you would choose depending on the grade level you're going into. So you would tick these off when course selection opens if you are thinking of accessing AP Art down the line. So there's the grade 11 options and then the grade 12 course needs for AP Studio Art. We offer high performance phys ed at the 20 or 30 level. I shouldn't say or, so students can take this class in grade 11 and grade 12. It's just an extra opportunity for those students who may be pursuing high-level athletics outside of school or just are looking for an additional way to improve their fitness and their level of performance in their in kind of their athletic pursuits. It's a tremendous class and a really neat opportunity that we offer here for students to just engage at a little bit higher level in terms of phys ed performance. You'll see these courses indicated in the yellow booklet and eventually when you choose courses in MSS, and it'll just have an HP in and around the phys ed title. So HP stands for high performance, just as you're making those course selections. We also offer regular phys ed 20 and 30 as well. You'll see those opportunities listed in your course selections. UR accelerated courses, kind of similar to, I guess, what a student is trying to achieve in the AP program, but a different kind of way to come at that type of learning. So again, it's a dual credit opportunity. So students are earning a high school credit and a university credit at the same time. Students would pay tuition and registration for the course. But let's take English 100 as an example. Students can take English 100 through the U of R and really kind of get a bridge to university, see what a university class entails in terms of the rigor, and simultaneously they're earning their English B30 credit requirement for grade 12. So it's a unique way to kind of just dip your toe into university classes while getting high school credit at the same time. But just another note there that tuition and registration fees are required. If there are families that are interested in any of these unique offerings, and I guess specifically something like You Are Accelerated, to reach out to Riffel Guidance at rcsd.ca, and we can field your questions. We can share a little bit more information. There's some really good kind of PowerPoint informational pieces that we can send out to you. In the fall, there are information nights on accelerated courses, but also we can get you on the list that we've started for students that are indicating they're interested in these like unique outside of Riffel sorts of opportunities. So just shoot us an email and we'll get you started with some information and add you to our list of possible interest in You Are Accelerated course. Same thing for magnet courses. So we'll talk a little bit about magnet courses. If this is of interest to you, again, we ask just for an email to riffelguidance at rcsd.ca and just a little bit of background and of course let us know the course that you'd be interested in. And then we can kind of get some more information out to you and add you to our list of possible magnet families. So what magnet courses are, I guess the term kind of means that they're courses that might draw you to another location. And not all of the high schools offer the exact same course selection, and that's not a critique or anything of the high schools in their offerings. There are some infrastructure that's been built to support certain unique programs in certain school sites, and so those kind of unique opportunities draw students from other high schools to that site to access those courses. Miller High School offers a wide array of magnet courses. You'll see the list there, as does Riffel, and there's a list of courses there. You'll also see those Riffel courses in that yellow booklet and in that course selection program of studies booklet that has a little descriptor on each class that I was talking about. But the Miller High School classes, those classes our students can also access. Transportation is the responsibility of the student/family. So how we would schedule students is they would let us know which class or classes they're interested in over at Miller, and then we would schedule that student for either the morning or afternoon, wherever that magnet course is situated in the school day. And then to maximize learning time, we would fill that either AM or PM with course requirements for that student so that we're covering off those course needs at the particular grade levels. So for example, if a student's interested in cosmetology 20 and it's offered at, say, in period 2 at Miller, we would build that student a morning schedule at Miller, okay, that includes cosmetology in period 2. That student might have ELA B10 in period 1 and Science 10 in period 3, but we'd have that maximized bundle of classes, whether it's in the morning or afternoon. So the student would start their day at Miller and then transport themselves here over the noon hour and end their school day at Riffel, or vice versa. If that class lands in the afternoon, it would just be the reverse of that plan. So if these are of interest to you, or you wish to learn more about these classes, please shoot Riffel Guidance at rcsd.ca an email, and we'll get you geared up with some information and also add you to our list of possible magnet interest for next school year. Now, when you go into select courses on MSS tomorrow, starting tomorrow, you will not see these magnet courses in our course list. So what we ask you to do is simply choose all Riffel courses and just pretending like you're going to be here the entire day and choose wisely in terms of your electives and so on. And then, as I mentioned, shoot us an email, and when it comes time to consult with Miller and make those connections between administrators, we will have your child's name and their course request, and we can start tinkering with their schedule if you're still interested in those magnet courses at that time. So choose a full Riffel schedule of classes and then send us a note here at Guidance with your magnet course of interest. TaskCap, or Trades and Skills Construction Apprenticeship Program, is a really unique opportunity that many of our students access in their grade 11 year. It kind of works best in that grade 11 year just because of the number of electives and the flexibility that those electives kind of gives us in that grade 11 year to build this opportunity into. So what TaskCap is it's a one semester house build opportunity with a team of like-minded students who are interested in construction and trades under the direction and guidance of teachers who are also trained in construction trades. And together that team constructs a home for Habitat for Humanity here in Regina. So, but obviously off school site in an area in Regina. Completing a house build, which would be really exciting to do, and also earning 5 high school credits, so elective credits, and 500 apprenticeship hours towards the eventual apprenticeship hours that apprentices would need on their pathway to becoming a journey person. So lots of goodies there in terms of the skills that a student would learn in that opportunity, as well as the apprenticeship hours, and of course the 5 high school credits that go along with that. So as with UR Accelerated and Magnet classes, we ask that students who are interested in TaskCap still choose an entire Riffel schedule and then send us an email letting us know that they're interested in TaskCap. We'll get you linked up with information and the registration form and just take steps from there. And then we'll dismantle the schedule and make it look as it needs to in order to fit this opportunity in for next year. There are a number of learning online opportunities that are offered through our school division. In addition to these listed, there are French immersion learning online opportunities as well. But these afford students a little bit of flexibility in their school day. If you have extra out-of-school activities, sometimes athletic pursuits that students are involved in, sometimes spill into the school day. If that sounds like you and your family, then just know that we can build a schedule that allows for a little bit of flexibility within the school day to allow for training or other kinds of opportunities that sometimes spill into the school day. Online registration begins tomorrow and runs for an entire week. So it gives you a few days this week to still ask some questions if need be, to chat with student services, chat with teachers, and then the weekend to think about things as well. We're really looking for families to adhere to that week of online registration for classes. And then we create a schedule based on student interest in classes. So we're really excited to get the course choices inputted into our system and then to start planning for next year's classes and so on. Detailed instructions on how to select classes in MSS have been sent via email. They're also found on the Riffel website if you go into Student Services, and the drop-down menu there will say Course Selection. There are a number of resources there, the ones that we've discussed tonight. So the yellow work booklet, the Pathway to Graduation, the personal grad checklist, the TaskCap video, all sorts of resources can be found on the Student Services site, drop down course selection. And yeah, we're excited to have families engage with the course registration starting tomorrow. And we look for all those selections to start dropping in quickly within the week. And any questions that you have, please ask them. Don't hesitate to reach out. As mentioned, this video is, the recording of this presentation is going to be made available via a YouTube link that we will also house on that course selection webpage if you are looking to review parts of the presentation later on. Once you make your course choices, either take a picture, do a screenshot, or print off course verification for your records. And yeah, any further questions about course selection, don't hesitate to send them our way. And it is my hope that you have dropped your questions into the chat this evening. Feel free to email student services at riffelguidance@rcsd.ca with any questions that you might have. And I'm going to stop sharing presentation. And I just want to say on behalf of Mrs. Warnicki and Mr. Hockle, I want to just say thank you so much for investing the time, the enthusiasm, the engagement with your child's academics. And it's really wonderful to have so many folks join us tonight. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. We're happy to answer them. I'll just maybe consult with Mrs. Warnicki. Are we good on the chat? Are there any questions that the folks want to put out there before we close things down? We're happy to answer them.
I think we're good, but I'm happy to stick around for a little bit. Getting feedback, sorry.
Right on. Well, this draws the presentation to a close. If you want to stick around and ask a question, wonderful. If you feel like you need to sign off and you have the information you need, there's always ways to access the info and to reach us. And we're happy to help you. Thanks for the feedback. That's terrific. We appreciate that a lot. So we're going to stick around for a little bit. Don't feel like you have to. If you feel like you've gotten what you need out of the presentation, have a safe evening. God bless. Take care out there. And you know, we're a phone call or an email away if you need us.
I do have one quick question that I wasn't sure about. Do they have to start the advanced math in grade 10, or can they jump into grade 11?
That's a great question. So the advanced programming is by nature a welcome open door, and no student would be turned away if they feel like accessing advanced programming in grade 10 or 11 or even 12. Okay. We always just come back to kind of school life balance, chatting with teachers, reflecting on, you know, what time and energy that you have to commit to undoubtedly what will be the kind of the extras that will come a student's way in those advanced pathways. But yes, students can head into that pathway in grade 11 if they wish, okay. Without the 10 or 9. Yeah.
He's very much into math and stuff, and he was thinking about it, and I did say to him, I said, it is a lot of extra work, and that he kind of went, whoa. So I think he's trying to decide now, and I was just wondering if he could, you know, pick that up in grade 11, maybe, if that became more of an interest sort of thing. And
Yeah.
and so band, because it's at lunch and stuff, does that, like, he's in grade 9 band already, but does that count as then one of the full classes? No, so he's got to take 10 classes like he is now plus band, but he
That's a
gets a
great
credit.
question.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be clear on that, because he'll try and tell me something different, I'm sure. All right. Thank you so much. This was very, very helpful.
Oh, terrific. Glad you could make it. Appreciate the questions and so on. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You as well.
Hey, I have a question.
You bet.
So if my child goes into advanced placement math, he has not done it this semester in grade 9, and if it is too much for him, what are the repercussions about going back into normal math, I guess? Or where would we go from there for the second semester, I guess?
Mrs. Warnicki, do you want to take that one?
Yeah,
Kyla.
all good. Yeah, hi, Christine. That was a question in the chat earlier as well. So if the schedule, if we can make it a yes, we're going to make it a yes. Sometimes there's limitations with the courses that your child takes, as well as the schedule. But if we can make it a yes at semester 2, we will.
Okay.
Does that help?
No,
it's not a perfect answer, but we want to support your child in their academics. So if that means moving back to regular, we can do that as long as the schedule allows it, depending on the courses that he's taking and moving things around accordingly.
Okay, and I did read that in the chat, but I just wanted to make sure, because, you know, I need to make sure that things are okay.
Did that make sense? Is that okay? Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Are we speaking here?
You bet we can hear you.
Okay. I just want to ask, is any of the grade 9 prerequisite a mandatory requirement to any of the grade 10, 11, 12 courses? And how do we know those ones?
So if your question is, maybe I can answer it here if I just
I want to know how can I know any of these grade 9 elective that are prerequisites to grade 10 courses, 11 courses, or 12 courses?
That's a good question. So grade 9 classes really are essentially the gateway to grade 10, but are they pure prerequisites? Like, I think you asked about elective classes being prerequisites. Yeah. We don't look at it that way. Okay. We really feel like grade 10 electives stand on their own. It's really good to have that grade 9 experience, and of course in developing students' interests and broadening kind of their learning and expression opportunities in grade 9. But really they can choose any electives that they want in grade 10. They don't have to build necessarily on the ones that they took in grade 9, although they can. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does actually. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great questions. Are there any other questions for those of you who are hanging around? Would you like to unmute your mic and share with us?
Sure, I just have a quick question. So if my son was to do extra training in the sport that he does, and it's over lunchtime, then how does that, I guess, because it would affect his period 4.
Yep.
So, and then how would I register that, I guess?
Okay, awesome question. And we've had exactly that scenario play out for other students who have had training during the lunch hour that, like you mentioned, kind of spills over into period 4. So what we would do is in the schedule, so you would still pick a full slate of classes via MSS, then send Riffel guidance an email just stating, hey, looking for learning online classes just to support what we're anticipating to be a period 4 kind of discrepancy, I guess, with our training and with the school time. And what Mrs. Warnicki and I will do then is, in consultation with you and your son, we would say, you know, what class might you be able to be a little bit more independent in and be able to work best on your own at, so to speak. And then that learning online class, the placeholder of that class would be that learning online class. So it would be kind of an empty learning space. It would appear on the schedule, but really that period, so to speak, would be dedicated to that class. Although the student's not working on it at that time, it's kind of that placeholder spot for it. And then he could work on that class at any time. The course is open 24/7, and he could just decide on his own kind of when he would like to work on that and kind of stay up to date on the needs of that class.
Okay, that sounds
Sorry,
great. Thank you for that.
Really
one other, what's that?
Sorry, that was really long-winded. Did I answer it?
Yeah, no, it was great.
Okay.
My other question is just, so do a lot of grade 10s do that magnet courses over at Miller?
I would say every year we have maybe 2 or 3, sometimes 4. So not a ton of students, but I'm not sure what the impacts are. I guess transportation would be kind of the primary one. And then by grade 11, some students are kind of committed to being at Riffel and maybe not wanting to leave the comfort of Riffel. I'm not sure what we'd attribute that to, but sometimes transportation kind of gets in the way of that, and just committing to transporting at lunchtime, either to Miller or back here. It's a commitment, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. An awesome opportunity, but it does involve a lot of planning and commitment, and yeah.
And then it doesn't mean, though, that they can't do it in grade 11. Like grade 11 might be a little bit easier, but they can still do it in grade 11.
We have students that begin those magnet experiences in grade 11. I should have mentioned that. So there's welding there, for example. So if a student is just more easily able to get around and so on, we would put that 10 level welding in semester 1 and 20 level in semester 2, and then they can kind of get to grade level with those 2 semesters in that grade 11.
Sorry, Lisa. We actually have a grade 12 student right now taking a welding 10 over at, he took it last semester over at Miller. So there's not an end date for that opportunity.
Yeah. And Riffel doesn't offer any welding? No? Okay.
Within practical and applied arts, there's opportunity to engage in that. Yeah, just a little bit, but we do have welding booths here for students to build kind of that knowledge here. But that pure welding class, it would be situated at Miller, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. So I just want to, sorry, maybe I'll message you, Kyla. I have one other question, but that's okay.
All good. Other questions? We'll look forward to your email. Thank you. If there are no other questions, I think we will sign off. Is there a Foods 20 course? There's not a Foods 20 course. There's foods that students engage in at grade 9. There's a Foods 10 opportunity and Foods 30. And those are standalone opportunities, not requiring that 20 level in between as a prerequisite. The 30 doesn't require the 20. But we offer 10 and 30 here. Okay, folks, further questions that you may have, please send them our way, riffelguidance@rcsd.ca. Thanks again for your time, and we'll see you down the road. Take care. Thanks, Mr. Hockle, for joining us as well.
I do have one last question. No, no, you guys can sign off. It's fine. But
Go ahead,
Or you can ask the question to.
I know whoever. I don't
We'll
know.
stick
Like
around.
the physical, the phys ed in grade 11 and 12, the high performance phys ed.
Yes.
Can you take that in grade 10 or no?
No. We would typically have students just access that wellness 10 at the grade 10 level.
Okay.
Chat with us though. Send us a note if you feel like this would be particularly beneficial for some reason. I don't want to say no to it, but maybe just send us a note and kind of outline your situation and why you think that would be right for your child.
So Christine, I'll just jump in here for a sec. So just so I'm clear on the ask, you're asking if a student in grade 10 could take high performance phys ed 20?
Yes.
Yeah. So like Lisa said, you know, we work with every single situation and scenario differently, of course. And we'd like to honor those 9 and 10 level courses. Our goal, you know, our goal is that we can get a high performance offering at like every grade level. Right now, we're just not there yet. We don't have the capacity to do so, which is why we have it at the 20 and 30 levels. You know, that's something that we could look at, but like Lisa said, we'd need to know a little bit more in terms of that. So if you want to send us an email, that's something we can look at. And, you know, what it would mean is, I mean, you need at least a 10 level credit of wellness to graduate. So we'd have to, I don't know, we'd have to look at a few different things, but send us an email and then we can look at it. And off the top of my head, I don't think there's a real direct answer right now, but I think it's something that we could look at and then see if we can get you a little bit more information.
Okay. I'm just thinking because my kid is in soccer, high performance soccer. He does like weight training and all this stuff. He's looking to improve his stuff. He's finding phys ed right now, grade 9, super easy. He's got 100% average. I guess the semester just started, but in terms of like push him, my husband wants to push him in terms of fitness and activity. So I'm just looking at, would this be a better fit for him as an elective for grade 10 doing this or not? Or wait.
Oh,
That's a great question, and we haven't encountered it yet. You are our test case, and this is fantastic. And I think we'll just have to, again, if you wouldn't mind just sending us a note, and then we can kind of maybe work in-house on a little bit of kind of policy or approach to this ask. I appreciate the background tonight, but maybe you can send it in a note to us, and we can kind of look at it with our administration and get back to you on how we would approach your request. Very cool.
And that's fine. Like I said, I just wanted to like throw that out there because I know that he needs to be pushed. He needs a little bit more. So
yep, I hear it on
that's
all
great.
fronts.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We just don't have a real great answer for you right now, other than we'd have to explore it a little bit deeper. And sorry, my device just died, so I had to hop onto my phone. So it took me a second there. I missed a little bit, but yeah, send us that email, and then we'll go from there.
I'm going to say, not to mention, my husband is looking at coaching your soccer team at some point in the next couple of years. So girls and boys. So just saying.
Amazing.
Because Simon is out. So we need a soccer coach.
I know that Mike coached Griffin when he was 3, so that's that's something.
No, as an elementary school counselor, I get it. This is what I do too. So this is why I'm asking so many questions. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It helps us to kind of explore our approach to things, and it's a unique ask, and we'll just put our heads together on it and we'll get back to you. But yeah, just shoot us an email so that we can just direct us that way, and then we can meet on it and get you some feedback, okay?
I will do that. Thanks, Lisa.
Yep, you betcha. Have a great night.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care. See you, Mr. Hockle.
Good night.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.